nerds, it's McKinley, and today I am doing my comics wrap up for January through March. I am very tired. I haven't slept well in the last 10 days, so if I'm a little bit wonky or off, then nothing else is new, right? This is my second time filming this video. I filmed it yesterday, and let me just tell you, it was a clusterfuck. I tried to edit it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna film this again, because I was unprepared. Well, I'm just gonna jump right in. The first two comics I read were the first two DC Superhero Girl comics, Pastimes at Ridgemont High, I think is what it's called, and they kind of go on a bus and go back in time to when dinosaurs were still around. And it was cute, but I did not feel compelled to even finish it. I definitely prefer the YouTube show, and I gave it 3 stars. The next comic I read was The Power and Magic, the Queer Witch comic anthology, and this is a book, an anthology, obviously, of comics, all written by women of color, and they're all queer. So a lot of them are really good. A lot of them were not as good, but overall I really enjoyed it and I gave it 4 stars. And it actually counted for all of my reading challenges. I read, bear in mind, I read this in January. So you would be like, I can't believe she already crossed that off. It's because I crossed it off in January. You just didn't know about it. I'm sure that all of you were thinking that. Never mind. For Pop Sugar, it counted as a book with multiple authors. For Diversity Bingo, it's LGBT plus main character, and for Read Harder, it's a collection of stories by women, and also all point of views are people of color. The next comic I read was Harley Quinn Volume 1, Die Laughing. I didn't write that down. I don't know, the newest one from the Rebirth, and I did not like this as much as I've liked all of the other volumes, but I still enjoyed it for the most part. In the beginning, she's fighting zombies, and then she ends up joining a band, and I kind of don't remember how it ends because I read it a really long time ago, but I gave it 3 stars, and it counted on the Pop Sugar Challenge for a book with a title that's a character's name. The next several that I read was Giant Days Volume 4 and 5, and then issues 21 through 23. I gave them all 5 stars. This is a slice of life comic about 3 girls at a university in, I think, England or the UK. Somewhere in Europe, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in the UK. And one of them's queer, one of them's biracial. There's a goth. I actually think the person in the screenshot that I got that's Esther. She looks like Emma Brooks. Every time I watch Emma Brooks, I'm like, oh, she looks like Esther, because Esther's really pale and has the long black hair, and Emma's really pale and has long black hair. I'm telling you, I don't know if Emma even reads graphic novels, but she looks like Esther. Anywho, irrelevant. If you haven't read this comic, I highly recommend it. I love it so much. Even though it is written by a man, there are women on the team, so that's something. Next, I read Lumberjanes issues 29 through 35. Again, I gave them all 5 stars. I love this comic so much. It's about a group of girls in a Girl Scout type camp comic. They earn badges and stuff. Or not comic, camp. And there's also a lot of fantasy stuff involved. They have to fight monsters, and there's portals. And when you start it, you kind of get dropped into it, but you pick up on things fast, and it's just a really fun comic, and I absolutely adore it. And there's queer characters, women of color characters, and it's just yay women, yay feminism, yay all things in this comic. After that, I read Gotham Academy Volume 1. I don't remember what it's called, but it probably says it right here. I enjoyed this for the most part. I want to continue. It's pretty diverse. There's multiple races presented. I only read the first volume, so I don't think any of them were queer, but I know it's going that way, I'm sure. It was kind of a slow start for me, so I haven't really felt compelled to pick up the second volume, but I will eventually. The only reason I read it is because they do a crossover with Lumberjanes eventually, and I want to get to that crossover so I can read more Lumberjanes. After that, I picked up Princess Ever After, and even after filming this yesterday and going, oh, I can't believe I didn't bring the book, today I continue to not bring the book, but I do own it. This is about a fat princess that's locked in a tower, and then a black princess comes and saves her, and they go off on an adventure, and it's so cute. And the fat princess has a cute little animal. 5 stars, obviously. Just a million stars. I loved it so much. Highly recommend it. Next up, I finished Beyond, the queer sci-fi and fantasy comics anthology, and this is another anthology featuring all queer comics. I don't know if all of the authors are queer. I think I tried to look it up and I couldn't find out for sure, but all the comics are, and this one was not as good as Power and Magic for me. I skimmed a lot of them and then I just started skipping because they were just like not interesting. But I'm also not a huge sci-fi person. Like I have to really be invested to like sci-fi. And in a short comic, I guess I just couldn't really find the reason to force myself when I wasn't interested. But it did count for some challenges. For Pop Sugar, counted as a book involving mythical creatures. There are multiple mythical creatures in this. For Diversity Bingo, I used it as my free choice. And for Read Harder, it counted as my all ages comment, even though I could have literally used all of the ones I just mentioned, basically. But it took me so long to read this one, and I had already written it down, so it's still whatever. Anywho, after that, I read Adulthood is a Myth and Big Mushy Happy Lump by Sarah Anderson. I gave both of these 5 stars. If you have a Facebook, you've probably seen her comics because she does little doodles about like being an introvert and anxiety, and they are very relatable, especially for someone like me who is an introvert full of social anxiety. And if you're a cat person, you'll probably like it too. I'm a dog person, but I respect your choices. And it's just amazing and funny, and I loved it oh so much. And I also got the Big Mushy Happy Lump. I did get on NetGalley, but it's pretty easy to get this because it's on Hoopla if your library has Hoopla. So go forth and read. Next up, I read The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen, and it's a graphic novel of it, and it's illustrated by Metafrog. That's his name, her name. I don't even know whose name. That's the name. I got this on NetGalley as well, and I think the same about Little Mermaid Story as I thought when I first read it, but the illustrations in this are absolutely beautiful. So I gave it 3 stars. Next up, I read The Sound of the World by Heart by a name I cannot pronounce, but I think it's Giacomo something. I don't know how to say the last name. And this is about a man who lives in New York for a certain amount of time. I don't remember how long, and he's not allowed to talk to people. He's writing an article for a newspaper or magazine, something like that, and he's not allowed to talk. And there's some kind of like paranormal, not paranormal, like just a weird like fantasy like element involved. And honestly, I was pretty confused at the end, but I liked that I was confused. Like I was into it. I liked it, and I gave it 4 stars. Next, after that, I read Stitch #1 by people. I don't remember who it's by, but I got this on NetGalley too. This is like a friendship comic. So if you're like into Giant Days, Lumberjanes, My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic type thing, I think you'll like this. It's all about like undead, ghouls, zombies, stuff like that. But it was like the main character wakes up in a cemetery and can't remember. And then she makes friends along the way to try and help her. And I'm gonna continue on with it when the next one comes out for sure. But for now, I gave it 3 stars. And we're almost done, kids. Next, I read America #1 by Gabby Rivera. This is a new comic about America Chavez, who was in the Young Avengers, and now she's finally getting her own comic. And she is a queer Latina superhero, and it's written by a queer Latino woman. And it was a solid start, but I'm gonna wait for a few more issues to be out before I continue, because it's hard to judge a comic based on one issue, at least for me it is. So I gave it 4 stars, but I'm excited to continue because I loved her character in the Young Avengers. After that, I read Suicide Squad Volume 1, Black Bolt, and I DNF'd it, and I gave it 1.5 stars. Suicide Squad is boring. The comics are not good. I've read so many of them, and I don't know why I keep putting myself through it. So I didn't this time. I DNF'd it, and I gave it 1.5 stars, and I got that one on NetGalley as well. The next comic I also gave 1.5 stars, and that's I Feel Bad All Day, Every Day About Everything by something Auslander. I don't like the drawings in this. I think they're kind of shitty, and it's not relatable if you're not a mother. Like, everything she feels bad about is stuff she's doing wrong as a mother and a wife. And I thought it would just be more like the Sarah Anderson comics, where it was like going to be anxiety and stuff, but it wasn't. And I'm not a mom, so I mean, like, I'm a dog mom, but I'm a good dog mom, so I don't feel bad about nothing. After that, I read Gem and the Holograms, Volume 1 and 2. I liked them very, very much. It's about a girl band, and they have this AI type thing, Synergy, that helps the lead singer get over her stage fright because she transforms into Gem. And there's queer characters, people of color, and all in all, it's a good time, and I would highly recommend it. I gave them both 4 stars. Then I read one issue of Batgirl from the newest run. I think it's the Rebirth as well. And I realized that I needed to read more Batgirl because I was very confused. So I don't think it was a great place to jump on, so I did not read it. And finally, I read Jonesy Volume 1 by people whose names I don't know. They're probably there. This is about a Latina teenager who has the power to make anyone fall in love with anyone or anything except her, and the way she uses it, and her catchphrase is Jumpin' Jehoshaphat, so like I love her. And her best friend is queer, and I already said she's Latina. It's diverse and it's hilarious, and I gave it 5 stars. That's it. Oh, I did it in under 15 minutes. Let me know down below if you've read any of these comics and what you thought of them. If you have any comic recommendations for me that you think I might not have read. Like this video if you liked it, and please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!